All right, so here we are again. Here we are again. It's so good to be here. It's so good to be here. I'm really trying to slow my brain down because I think my mind is moving faster than my lips. So it is so good to be here. The title of this video, or the focus of this video, because I want to start from the beginning, how this all started. When I mean parenting, not the vlogging, but I want to start from the beginning. And our focus for this video will be the power of birthing a child. Now, it's not what you think. It's not what you think. It's a lot more. It's much more than that. So I'll be playing on some words here, right? So the power of birthing a child. I'm going to be talking about my experience. I'm going to be talking about what it means to me, what it means to me, what it means to be a mother, what I expected versus my reality, the importance of support. Oh my God, the importance of support. And my situation, basically, just to give you guys an idea or background of who I am, what I'm about. Yeah. And I'm also going to be talking about how becoming a mother changed me in a way. Kinda, sorta. Maybe a little bit. All right. So that's the structure of the video today. So the power of birthing a child. If we're to look at the concept or the idea of birthing, it means to bring something forward, something to become anew, something different, something new, come forward. When we think about the power of birthing, we're thinking about bringing forth a child, not just physically, not just giving birth, but how we raise our children, how our children are impacted, not just after they enter into the world, but while they're in our womb. That's also pretty important. And I'm going to touch base on that because I remember when I was pregnant and my grandmother would say, train the child from the womb. I was like, what? It made sense, but it didn't really connect, but it made sense. Train the child from the womb. Now, one of the things that many parents or women, were never taught is the fact that emotions create physical responses. Like when you have a heartache, when you hurt, you feel it physically. When you're hurting, you feel it physically. You normally feel it within your core, within your stomach area, right? So there's a physical response that comes with emotional responses, whether it's negative or positive, whether it makes you happy or sad or angry. So when you're pregnant, when you have a child in there, when you have a whole person in there, right? Everything you feel, not just what you feed on, but everything you feel passes to them. Have you ever wondered why someone would say to a child, you're just like your father or you're just like your mother? That's because your personality, what you're like, your traits, everything about you while you were pregnant was being transferred to that child. Everything you felt was being transferred to that child. So it's not just about the physical aspect of the situation. that helps to create or form the child or build the child. It's also the emotional aspect of it. So if during your pregnancy you spend the whole time being scared or fearful of everything, what do you think is going to happen to that child? That child is going to become fearful of life. That child is going to become scared as hell. If you spend the whole pregnancy being angry, that child's going to be miserable and always angry. If you spend the whole pregnancy being happy or being content or being relaxed, or these things are passed on to your child. Now, here's the thing about that. Yes, they're passed on to the child. But the good thing is, well, according to epigenetics, you may use big word, do liquor research, right? So, so according to epigenetics, these things can change. Your chromosomes or your genes don't really define who you are or who you become or who you remain or the person you stay, right? The person you remain as, right? Because as we socialize, as we experience things, as we develop our mental faculties, we change. Have you ever noticed that persons tend to adapt based on their environment, right? So there's a possibility of change. No matter what, there's always a possibility of change. So that's a good thing about that. You probably pass on some badass, angry, miserable negativity to your child during pregnancy, but the big good thing about that, it changes. Your child can still be happy. This person can grow up to be a really happy person, a contented person, right? So when we think about the power, the power that we have as women, oh my God, if we ever get the chance to tap into it, it's amazing. It's I don't want to say empowering, but it is. Right? But it encapsulates everything, your whole essence. It consumes you and it makes you realize, oh my God, damn, I'm invincible. It gives you that feeling. All right? It does. And it's likely that we are. Okay? Okay, so it makes you feel like you become Wonder Woman, right? So the power that we have is not just the power to create physically, but to create and influence emotionally, psychologically, right? So this power that we have as women is really important, and you have to know how to use it. So when you become knowledgeable of this fact, right? You become knowledgeable of this fact, you have to use it carefully. You have to understand that I'm looking for a word. This responsibility that you have is more important than anything in the world, and you have to make sure that you do it well. You have to make sure that you carry out this particular task well. The moment you decide, the moment you choose to keep that baby, I don't want to say the moment you decide to become a mother, because come on, 3/4 of Jamaica was born out of unplanned pregnancies, and here we are. All right. It's just one of those things. All right. Most of us were not planned, and that's okay, because if it weren't supposed to happen, wouldn't have, right? Well, that's my take on life, really. So that's what I mean when I'm talking about the power of birthing a child. Now, my personal experience, it was all right. So I just left university, started working, met this person, love him. Yeah. We got pregnant. We got pregnant. To be honest, I always wanted to get pregnant at that age. So you see, that is why you have to mind your tongue. Be careful what you wish for. But you see, I always wanted to get pregnant at the age of 25. I always wanted to have my first child at the age of 25. And I was saying this for my whole life. But not in that order. I wanted to do the marriage thing because, growing up in the church, you're expected to do things a particular way. You were taught to do things a particular way. And when things aren't done a particular way, you're looked down on. And I'm going to also touch base on that, because some of us out there, we like to look down on people And we don't know their story, we don't know anything about them, but we're looking down on them and we're judging. Some of us are so damn judgmental, it's unbearable. So I'm going to touch base on that. Not right now, right? So, yeah. So I got pregnant at the age of 25. I had my son when I was 26. It was an interesting experience. I didn't even know I was pregnant until I felt the pain of death. I felt the sting of death. I swear to God, at 2 o'clock that morning on the 17th of December, I was dying. Well, it would be the 18th because it was already the next day since it's 2 a.m. I was dying. Nobody could tell me otherwise. My dead. My done dead. And in the middle of the morning, I was in my apartment and I called my parents and I was crying on the phone. I was like, I'm dying, I'm dying. I was feeling the kind of pain that I've never felt before. And I don't get cramps. So I really can't tell the difference. I've had cramps once. And all I did was just curl into a ball and I felt a little better. So, but this one, I couldn't curl, I couldn't stretch, I couldn't do anything. I was just lying there and I was just waiting for death to take me. That's how excruciating the pain was. The next day, I went to the doctor because I was like, but in the morning it got less. I eventually fell asleep at some point in the morning, it got less. And so I decided, okay, well, my parents said, go to the doctor the next day in the morning. I went to the doctor, and the first thing the doctor said to me, are you pregnant? I was like, no, I'm too careful. No. Apparently not careful enough. So he said, take a pregnancy test. He checked my vitals, everything. Is like, you're fine. Everything checks out. You're still having these pains in your tummy. Take a pregnancy test. I went to work. Thank God it was the end of the school year, because God knows I was not in the mood for any teaching or anything that day. But it was the last day of school, actually. It was the end of the school year. So all teaching was already done. And I, on my way home, stopped at the pharmacy, got a pregnancy test, got home, did the test. Test was positive. I put it in the paper packet thing that it came in, and I put it one side. And then I went and I look at it again. I was like, shit, it's positive, right? And then I read the packet to make sure that I'm actually reading it right, because I was thinking, okay, maybe I'm not reading this right. You know, the next time I get pregnant, I'm gonna do one of those tests that literally say pregnant, not pregnant. All right. So I was like reading the positive. I was like, those two lines, what do they mean? I need to double check, you know? Anyway, turns out I was pregnant. Called my boyfriend and I told him, all right. Yeah. Well, long story short, my experience in getting pregnant or going through the whole issue of being pregnant was this. It started out pretty rocky. The feeling, the emotions, everything just one time. Like there was no warning signals. There was no sign that says stop. Do not pass this intersection. Nothing at all. There were no warning signals, no signs, nothing at all. Everything just comes flooding in, like just like that, one after the other. The emotions, the thoughts, oh my God, the thoughts, everything. And I was like, oh my God, this is not what was supposed to happen. My parents are going to be so disappointed. I lived my life trying not to disappoint my parents, and here's why. They work really hard. They do. Sometimes my mother is miserable as shit, but I understood when I got older. When I was younger and I was a teenager, I was like, this damn woman miserable. But I never understood it then. But when I got older, and not when I became a parent, but when I got older, I started understanding these things. And I started realizing that the importance of how we raise our children. right? And I'm going to touch base on that another time. But all these thoughts were in my head, like, oh my God, what are my parents going to think? How is this going to pan out? What's going to happen? And it was terrifying. It was really terrifying. And I didn't tell them. I didn't tell them. I even came home. I even came home that Christmas. I came home that Christmas. Because it's a thing that I normally I would have done when I was in college. At the end of the school year, I would just pack up my stuff and go home for the Christmas. So I, somehow I still did it. I left my apartment the December, and I came home for the Christmas, and all I was doing was sleeping. Now the only person who knew I was pregnant was my boyfriend. No one else knew. No one else knew that I was pregnant. Um, and I was just sleeping and sleeping and sleeping. I couldn't keep up, but I didn't tell anybody. I was still trying to decide how to move forward, what I'm going to do, and I think it's when it was in March. It was about when I was about 4 months in that I was like, okay, I mean, I'm a grown ass woman. I know that I'm working. I'm not depending on anyone to do anything for me financially. I can handle my business, right? But there's this thing when we have a certain level of respect for a family or our parents where it still feels like you're a child, because you're doing everything not to upset them, but really it's just your own life and it's your decision that you have to make when moving forward, right? So I didn't tell my parents for like 4 months because I was like, oh crap, I can't deal with this. I don't want to have to deal with this. And these were things that were going through my head. And so it was in March. I was at work. And one morning before I think it was after school started, and I think it was a session that I was working in that session. I never had a class in that session, and I went to the bathroom and I called my father because I never really want nobody here in business. I mean, they knew I was prego, right? But anyway, because I mean, you can't hide. So I called my father and I told him I was never going to call my mother. You're crazy? No. I called my dad and I told him everything. And I was at first terrified of what I might hear, what he might say, how he might respond. But the most amazing thing happened. And he said, no matter what happens, I love you. That's it. That's it right there. And for the rest of the day, I felt like I was okay. For the first time in 4 months, I was okay. I felt okay. I didn't care if anybody was upset. I didn't care if anyone was disappointed. For the first time in 4 months of being pregnant, of going through what I was going, the mental battle I was dealing with at that time, I was okay. And then, because I also had that little defiant thing about me, like, I don't care if them don't want like me picnic or if them don't want accept him, whatever. Me don't need nobody to feed him. That was also my take on things. I can be a little defiant or get defensive, especially when it comes to my child. Like literally see red. And when I say literally, I really mean that. I don't see anything else. But yeah. But I felt like that because I was expecting a particular reaction from him. I was expecting how you can make this happen to you. That kind of conversation that as parents we tend to have when our children in our heads mess up. How you can make this happen to you? After never me alone did lie down. Right? But here's the thing, this is what happened to women. This is what happened to girls. We are the ones with something to show. We are the ones who are going through this. We're the ones who are experiencing it. We are the ones who everyone's looking at, right? See that she breathe and drop out of school. See that she this and she that. We are the ones who have to go through that. And one of the things one of the things that's ignored on a regular basis, especially in a household where a girl gets pregnant before she's expected, expected to, because apparently pregnancy is the end of the world. And come on, I thought it was the end of my world because of how I was grown, because of what I was taught. Right? And I'm not saying that the values that are being taught to our girls, to our girls today are incorrect or inappropriate. I'm not saying that the values are wrong. All I'm saying is be careful how you transmit these values. Be careful how you make the women feel, the girls feel. Be careful how you make them feel inadequate if they were to make a mistake, right? Because apparently when a girl get pregnant, she a breed, right? So you have to be careful how you transmit these values. I'm not saying that anything is wrong with them, because they are like scaffolds that we need at the end of the day, right? But you have to be careful how you transmit. You have to be careful how you deliver, so you don't let them feel inadequate. You don't let them feel like they're not enough. And that is something that is so important when it comes to girls and how we are grown and how we are taught or how we are expected to be, right? So you have to be careful how you transmit these values. I don't care who one makes, because we have a lot of Christians, because Jamaica is a predominantly Christian society. So I can speak to that since I grew up in it. We have a lot of Christians out there who are quick to judge. I mean, not even gonna touch base span 400 children then, because at the end of the day, the kids not have nothing to do with what uno do. We have a lot of persons out there in society who you're quick to judge people. You're quick to put down the other person because you want to feel like you're somebody, or you're quick to make the other person feel inadequate. And this is coming from childhood. This is coming from childhood. This is coming from how we were grown. This is coming from the fact that as girls, when we're young, growing up, the things that we are taught, the first thing you hear when you start high school, nobody go breathe and drop out of school. What is that you're saying to the child? Don't you realize that when you say don't do something, that's exactly what is done? Because here's the thing about the mind. The mind can't really tell the difference between good and bad. I should be specific on that. The subconscious mind can't tell the difference between good and bad. So if you keep focusing on the bad things, you keep projecting the negative, because I think there's so much relativity in this world. You keep focus on the negative, you keep focus on the bad things. That's exactly what's going to happen. So if every day you get up and you tell the picnic, say, nobody go breathe and drop out of school, you're too money, you're this and you're that. What you expect going to happen? And it's not because they want to be like this, but it's because that's what you're putting on them. And that is why the interactionist theory came up with the whole self-fulfilling prophecy, labeling, right? So you have to be careful of the things you say to your kids, because you are causing these things to manifest. You have to be careful. If you keep projecting that, here's how you cause it to manifest. They start to believe you. Because it can't manifest if they don't believe you. But the more you say something every day, it's like you're driving it into their brain. They start to believe you. And when they start to believe you, it just automatically just happens. They start to believe you. So you have to be careful. So touching on the power of birthing a child, you have to be careful. You have to be careful. As women, we have this power within us that if you don't use it properly, you can destroy. But when it's properly used, oh my God, it's amazing. It's amazing. So you have to be careful. It's powerful. You have to be careful. All right. So that's a little bit of my experience. It was kind of crazy. I was a greedy mother. I was eating like 2-3 dinners a day. And if you don't want the rest of your food, me I eat that too. I liked being that kind of pregnant. I mean, I like that I didn't go through the whole sickness and the, oh my God, pain. No, I didn't even feel pregnant. It was an amazing period for me. I didn't have to worry about being fat. I didn't. So I loved that. Loved that. Another thing, so that was my expectation versus my reality. My reality was physically, Um, it was a beautiful experience physically, emotionally, mentally. It was at times devastating. Um, I know my family did everything they could, the way they knew how. Um, but there were some things that they couldn't even help me with. Mentally, my emotional state, psychological state, they couldn't have helped me with it. But I tried. I tried by doing nothing. But in my head, I was trying anyway. Um, but there's a lot more to come in talking about the support. Uh, so, what's my parental situation? At the moment, I actually consider myself a single mother. I've been doing this for the past, crap, how old is my child? 6. My child he just turned 6 like a month ago. So I've been doing this for the past 6 years. Yes, there's support of my family and the people around me, which is good. But from a parental point of view, single mom. Um, my son is amazing, independent. I love that he's independent because and he's exciting. He's very sociable, and I like that he is because I'm not quite that, you know. Um, so so yeah. So I'm coming to you from a single mother's perspective and experience. Uh, yeah, that's the only one I have. I'm thinking and I'm like, yeah, that's the only one I have. So we're gonna be diving a little bit into that. So how 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 have I changed since I became a mother? I haven't really changed much. Some things are better left unsaid. I haven't really changed much in terms of who I am. I was never ever the outgoing type. I was like staying home. So that never bothered me when I can't go anywhere because, oh my God, I have a child and I can't take my child with me. Boo hoo. No, that never bothered me one bit. Um, what else can I say? How has it changed me? Oh, one of the things that I love, and I say love because I still do, about being a mother is that I'm constantly in research mode. Like I'm constantly learning things. I'm constantly learning how to make myself better. I'm constantly trying to make myself better so I can become the mother I need to be for my child. Not the mother I want to be, but the mother I need to be based on the needs of my child. So that's one of the things that we have to be careful of and we have to pay attention to as mothers. Pay attention to your child. Learn about your child, right? Understand them. They are a whole complex being that's developing into something great. Should be developing into something great. Would be nice to be developing in something great, right? So it's it has changed me into throwing me out there into the world of research, into the world of wanting to know more, how to do this better, how to do this differently. I try to learn from my experiences. I remember one of the things that I love about my interaction with my child is that, you know, that notion in Jamaica where children should be seen and not heard? Not my kid. If he has something to say, let him say it. And I don't like bullies. I really don't like bullies. So I wouldn't sit by and watch somebody bully my child or bully other children. They have a voice too. They have expressions too. That notion that we grew up on where you should be seen and not be heard, you don't have nothing important to say, so shut up your mouth. That thing we go sit down, what you have to say, what you have to contribute to conversation, what you talk about your pitney, what you know. Through the door, it don't work. It don't, you want to piss me off, you do that to my child especially, right? Through the door. Now go work. So that's one of the things I love about my interaction with my child, and that it has changed me for the better. In He's expressive. He will tell you exactly what he thinks, how he feels. I know he has no filter. He has no filter, right? And I know that as he grows, he'll learn how to be more tactful, You learn how to be more tactful. But right now, I love how expressive he is, and I love how I am giving him the opportunity to be expressive. I love how I am giving him the opportunity to be heard, to be seen. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes in do things, and if I'm talking to him or anything, and I shout at him, and he'll say, "Mommy, why are you shouting at me?" And I apologize because I really don't want to shout at him, but damn it, listen, right? So I'm not saying that I don't get angry or I don't get frustrated. Come on. That is like always at the table of a single mother. Frustration, right? Picnic not here, you have to work, you're tired, you have to study, you do so many million different things. And on top of that, it's just basically just you. When I say just you, I mean like in your head, even though you might have someone watching the child every now and then, at the end of the day, it really is just you because it's your child. It's your responsibility. And what are you going to do with that? Right? How are you going to fix that? How are you going to make that work? How are you going to factor that in to make it into something that it needs to be, to make you into the person you need to be? How are you going to develop who you are today so that your child needs that person, not the person you think you should give them, but the person that they need, the mother they need, the parent they need? So how it has changed me as a mother, I'm constantly working on myself. I'm constantly trying to do it differently, to do it better, to try and fix it, make it work. And as I do this, I'm also learning about him, who he is, who he's becoming, you know? So that's it, the power of birthing. The power of birthing a child. All right, so I know that this video was a little long, unintentionally. Sorry, unintentionally. So I'm going to end with a little thing that Jamaican parents will sometimes say to their kids. And I'm sure say, all of we heard this before. All of we heard this before. If not from your parents, maybe from your grandparents. So here's one thing. So something that a Jamaican parent will say. And after I say it in Creole, I will try and translate it into English, right? So here's something that a Jamaican parent will say. You think me born back a cow, or you think me born big, right? You think me born back a cow, or you think me born big, right? Now, what does this mean? Sorry, I can't translate it. I try to translate it in my head, it don't make sense. So I'm going to explain it. So when a Jamaican parent says this to their child, it's like the child is kind of trying to trick the parent into believing something that the parent already know the truth about, right? So it's like you're trying to take your parent for a fool. It's like you're trying to let them think that you're trying to outsmart them. That's the word I'm looking for. You're trying to outsmart them. So you basically I try to take them for an idiot. All right, let me rephrase. You're basically trying to make it seem like you're smarter than they are. All right? So I just said that in English. That's the explanation of that one. So I'm going to end this video before it gets any longer. It was exciting. It was amazing to be here with you. Thank you again for watching this video. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of this community that we're building. Still looking forward to the comments. Still looking forward to the liking, the sharing, and the subscribing, because that's the only way that you'll know what's going on this channel. So you like, you share, you comment, you subscribe. I'm especially looking forward to the comments because I really want to know what's going on with us mothers out there. I want to know what's going on with us women out there. So thank you again for watching, and until we talk again, peace out. Bye bye.